So we are now live in the Hangouts, and even though the functionality is that I had the notification within the Hangout saying you are live, usually what happens is we start talking and then you look at the recording and the first half of the first sentence is cut off anyway. So I'm just kind of wasting time here to let everything set up. Thank you very much, people, for showing up, and welcome to Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. We have people who are already coming at us from the other event page or from the new invitation, and I'm sorry to have spammed everybody. That wasn't my intention, and I'm not known for my spam. I'm probably known for bugging people who don't want to talk to me, but please let me know if that's the case, and we'll fix the circles right away. So we have Carlos Savio, Wewake is out there, Lon McClure is out there, Richard Carlson's out there. Thank you very much for showing up. And hopefully some of the people who are arriving on the other page will see the notification to come over to this new Hangout. We had to do this today. And by the way, my name is Roland. I'm from R&D Hotline, sponsor of the Smarty Show. But we had to do this because apparently, according to Molly, I broke the Hangout. Now, don't ask me how I did that, and I don't think that anyone at this point can tell me how I did that, but we've got the brains on it, and we're going to try to figure out how it is that Roland once again broke the Hangout platform. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, I'm only one of the three people in the green room today, so let's introduce the others. We have, as usual, Molly Youngblood Geiger. Would you please say hi and tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Molly Youngblood Geiger. I'm located in Jacksonville, Florida. The name of my agency is Design Right For You, and I participate with Google on several different platforms. I'm an ambassador in the Google Partners community, also a rising star in that community. I'm also a Rising Help Forum, and I am a Google Small Business Community Advisor.
Very good. Thank you very much. And she's been with me over a year now, and Molly contributes a lot of the foundation for the research and study when it comes to search and Google and everything there. So that's why I call her the Google lady. And another Google guy is with us today, and we want to feature our very special guest today. I'm glad he was able to join us because the subject is right down his alley, and that is William Rock. Please say hi and give people a few minutes about what you do.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today. William Rock from Kansas City. I'm a conversion analytics specialist. I've been doing this since 1998, so when Google got its first domain, which is quite a long time ago. But my goal is to really take companies to the next level, going from the website to the next level in the conversion cycle and making those sales happen.
Okay, good deal. Thank you very much for joining us today. And because of the subject, and we kind of like do this organically from week to week, and as the progression of subject matter and discussion has been going, we arrived at the concept of touching SEO as a main aspect of web design and campaign building for small businesses and whatnot. So we're touching on it today, and I want to make it clear we're not going to give everybody the A through Z feedback on any one subject. As usual, we discuss around the subject and the few key things within the subject, but we can't give people a lesson on SEO and make it make sense if we really wanted to dig in on that. The objective for me bringing it up today is, number one, to connect the dots, how SEO pertains to, as in critical for your campaign outreach in general, and how it contributes and how it interacts with your digital footprint, and to discuss just a few main things that you want to consider if you're going to consider SEO at all. And we're saying hi to Barbara Quick, and Jay Neal joined us. Thank you very much from the audience. And just to let you know, Comment Tracker has decided, nope, Roland, we don't want you to use it anymore. It does not even give me an option to load it. So I'm just going to have to talk about what's happening in the comment stream and make mention of the people out there. And thank you very much. I really appreciate you commenting. And if you're new to our crowd, please, there's a Lauren McLaughlin. And he's new. I haven't seen you before. So wherever you heard from us about us and came, thank you very much for following the lead, and we're welcoming you here today. So anyway, let's get back to the subject. The title of this event was Content, Relevance, and SEO. Now, I can't divide those. Hi, Susan Joy Schlief, welcome to the crowd. And I can't divide the three because to me it's all a part of the same movement and functionality. Content, relevance, because it's got to be relevant content. The content has to boost your SEO score, and therefore your ranking potentials on Google search and other search. So all of these things fit together. And when you start writing content, you have to think SEO minded. And when you're doing SEO, you have to first consider the content. And then the relevance comes from linking those two things together and making it all work as one package. So there are some various things happening, and SEO is not what it used to be. And I would imagine, not being the SEO focused person, it's probably morphing constantly. Wouldn't you say, you guys?
Absolutely. I tell people all the time that a true SEO professional, they are out learning every day. It's constantly changing. We have algorithm updates going on. And really, Google's trying to focus on a good user experience. That's really the nuts and bolts of search engine optimization. Is we want to make sure that the user is able to find the website, and then once they find the website, there's good content on the website, so it's going to keep the user on the website so they can learn more about that business and what it is that they're going to be able to help the person with.
Thank you, Molly. And that brings to mind. Oh, go ahead and go ahead.
It's fantastic you brought that up, Molly, because that goes back to the user experience. We talk about SEO, and I used to have that badge that was all over my title, SEO, that I was doing that since 1998. But like you said, Roland, it's changed a little bit, and I think that where it's changed is not SEO, but it still has SEO into it, the basics of SEO, not the major extreme. But going back to the core, what is your website about? Is it actually speaking to your customers, or is it just written content that basically doesn't mean anything, and it confuses the actual end user, and they go away from that search result that you may have had that potential visitor, but now because of your content or the way it's laid out, you might not have actually retained that opportunity.
So everything is a constant adjustment. Even with what you've already established, you might want to go back and redo some of what you established because it was working at one point, but it doesn't work now. And so what we're concerned with is the basic fundamentals that are important now. And one of the things that it's very clear to me, and you mentioned something a little while ago, how SEO is changing and so forth. And we could conclude that the definition of SEO is radically different than it used to be. And some people in the last few months have been chatting about a different concept and a terminology and an adjustment of the definition, and they call it search everywhere optimization. In other words, it's not just for the search engines. It's for everything, because people are being found elsewhere, not just on search engines. So the relevance and so forth comes from the content you're generating and the consumption of that content. And if people are consuming it wherever they are, then you become more and more relevant. Now, Google search is able to see that and to sense the relevance from literally all the platforms now, just not just from the search, but analyzes how relevant you are in social media and how well liked you are, how well shared you are, and they have an ability to read those statistics and tell whether people are passing you off and sharing you and liking you and boosting, the whole concept of what you share and post in your digital footprint, and that definitely then affects your ranking and how they show you on Google search. Am I right?
I would actually add to that video marketing is a key factor within search too. Google Brand Labs has estimated that video marketing is going to increase by 74% by the year 2017. And if you really think about it from a user experience, if you go to a website, do you want to sit and read a bunch of text content, read, or would you rather click a play button and basically get that same information but in video content? And the difference, I would say the main difference between the two is if you're using video on a website, guess what? You can use that video not only with search engine optimization, because you can actually go optimize that video for search, and I have seen instances where the video will actually outrank a website, but you can use that same video for social media marketing, meaning you can take that video link, preferably YouTube is what I would recommend. For obvious reasons, YouTube is a part of Google. That's Google's video source, just like Google Plus is Google's social source. So it makes sense that if you're going to market yourself on Google, well, you probably should be using YouTube, and you probably should be using Google Plus. But just to kind of go into some of the content and user experience, I mean, think of it from a mobile perspective. You're on your mobile device. Are you going to want to sit and scroll through a bunch of text, or just click a play button and get the same information? I think where a lot of businesses disconnect is like, oh, I don't know if I want to get in front of a camera. I'm kind of afraid, and I don't like the way my voice sounds, or whatever excuse they come up with. And what I usually typically will advise a business to do in that instance is just practice. Just practice with yourself, maybe a family member, or get used to it. And it doesn't have to be this long dissertation. It could be just a 2 or 3 minute video about the business, introducing yourself, putting a face with the business, and making that user experience more comfortable for the person who's landed on your website.
Yeah, and I would add to that a little bit. Back to, we've talked about social, we talked about video, and off-page opportunities. But now going back to when they actually came and they watched the video, did they go and engage? Would be my next level of trying to understand the visitor through analytics and utilizing a simple free tool, Google Analytics, right there, as well as Google Webmaster Search or Webmaster Tools or Search Console now. Free tools that you can actually start to understand your visitors. So they came from these social opportunities or these video opportunities, but then did they go and they complete a goal? So did they go to your contact page? Did they go to make a phone call, or did they actually buy something in your e-commerce? Can you track all of that? And the answer is yes in Google Analytics if set up properly.
I totally agree with that, William. And one of the things I would add to that is, a lot of people are focused on SEO and getting those visits, and you have to consider, well, that's great if you're getting a lot of visits, but are you getting any conversions from those visits? That's really the end-all goal. Is somebody going and calling you, or they send you an email, or are they sending you a text, or are they completing the contact form? Are you getting any business off of the people utilizing search engine optimization and social media? And I would actually add to that engagement marketing. That's essentially what we're trying to do. We're trying to lead the person from a search to a website to engage to interacting with interesting content that's going to lead to engagement, which is going to lead into a conversion. So it's all about kind of the entire customer experience, and has that business taken every step needed to make sure that that customer, that lead, is going to go through the entire experience.
Yeah, this is all really good stuff, and it tells a story that if we could just take what you guys just said and repeat it over and over and over again and stick it in front of people and just let them listen to the same dang thing over and over, maybe eventually they would say, oh, I get it. It's all about the relationship. No kidding, And we've been talking about inbound marketing, the relationship marketing, engagement marketing, and relationships for over a year. And so, by the way, hi, Randy. Thank you for Randy Smith showing up, and I appreciate you showing up. Thank you very much. It's amazing that we have as many people showing up with the complications that we had right up to the last 5 minutes before the show. But they're here, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you for letting me spam you guys excessively for one Saturday. I'll never do it again if I can help it. By the way, WeWake had a really neat comment, and I thought that this was worth sharing just for the laugh of it all. And he says, a lot of problems started when people thought SEO stood for Sales Executive Officer in the line with the other 3 letters, CEO or Chief Executive Officer. So, yeah, that's pretty far-fetched, but I can imagine before people were familiar with online terminology that SEO would mean that. Sure. And that would be the predominant terminology and trademark of those letters. So that's pretty fun. Now you were talking about we were talking about the footprint and the basics, and Molly, you mentioned you like Google Plus, or you think that it's very important, and you like YouTube, and then of course we all have websites, and that is exactly the what I've been preaching from day one, the internet marketing tripod based on those three platforms. Now that's not the only three, but regardless of the three you choose, you have to have a home. You have to have a methodology of outreach, and which is what I call Google Plus, and you have to have a styling that works, and that's what I call YouTube. And the video message is prime. You know, you say there's going to be an awful lot of video growth in the next year and 2 years, and obviously it's not going to stop there. They're going to expand it out and teach better and bigger ways to use video. And then it's going to become inundated. Then there's going to be more refined ways to use video. But the opportunity for video generators right now is that you can pretty much put a junky video, and it's still going to cause some good feedback and add to your Google rankings, even as long as you're not disgustingly poor at your video. If you use video, it's going to boost your rankings. So the opportunity right now is to use it strategically and do it at least pretty well so that it makes a positive impact across the board. And we'll have more and more events where we just talk about video, but be it known, when we talk about SEO, when we talk about relevance, we talk about content. Video is definitely the subject in all three. So some further repercussion comments from you guys?
Well, I think we're going in the chat here about landing page, optimization. And I think that's also key. Even if you're paying for traffic, at the same level. If you're going for the organic free traffic, the same thing applies. That landing page, what is it supposed to do? What's the message? What's the call to action of your business? Do you want them to call you, or do you want them to go through a product and check out with the shopping cart? And what's the end goal for that? And making sure that that's actually wrapped with a video. You can actually take e-commerce now and have video, that little message of a product. So you have a two-minute video of that product, and I think that adds a little bit more than just the image. But now you have a list of additional things that you can go and add to your description, and just wrap the content around the product you're selling.
So let me ask you guys a question regarding that. Do you ever offer website design services and let the people go without a video?
I usually always recommend it to a business owner, even if it's just a quick introductory video, because of the fact that it's not going to hurt to just get on there and introduce who you are, what your business does, and maybe just a quick synopsis of why you decided to go into business. I think that's a great way for any company, any business, to get the word about who they are and what they're doing. But yeah, I pretty much, even my current clients who are kind of video shy, I have one lady, she's a bail bondsman, and she's like, I don't need to do a video. My clients are in jail. I'm like, well, yeah, they are, but you have to. What about the family members? They're looking for your service, and so if you can provide a quick video, which she has done, just say, hey, I'm here to help you out in your time of need. And actually, after we did that video, her bond went up because of the fact that that video started getting indexed, and when people would do a search for bail bonds Jacksonville, Florida, there was her video. And people have statistically shown that if they see that video, if they see that picture, they're going to navigate towards a picture versus just an organic search result, because it's like seeing a familiar face. Even though they don't know who she is, it's like, oh, well, there's this lady, she's a bail bondsman, let me click that and see what she has to say.
Yeah, and so you brought up really two big, very, very important points there, is that number one, the video conveys the personality of the person and the spirit of the people delivering the message way more than written text or a picture can ever do. It just flat out It's more believable, it's more impactful, and the people relate to the people in the video more. It's the closest thing to being there to shake the hand. So video is, of course, the choice. But the other side of just the personal impact of watching the video is the SEO and ranking potential of the video itself, especially if done in conjunction with YouTube and boosted in Google Plus, and what that ranking does to the actual drive to the website, drive to the video, and how you use and implement the video will definitely affect how many people view your message and how many people digest your message. And the opportunity to take them on the next step in your funnel system or silo or whatever it is you got devised to actually come to a place where they can make and take action.
I
So
actually
that,
have two quick tips to share, and this is for business owners. Say they're just gone into business and they don't have a big budget. Maybe they don't have a budget for an AdWords campaign or to hire somebody to start their search engine optimization project. Those two tips are this: post on Google Plus regularly and post on YouTube regularly. If you do both of those, what's interesting about those search results is somebody types, and make sure to use the right keywords within the titles of the video and the post on Google Plus. And here's why. Because Google will actually index the video in the Google Plus post, meaning you're going to get search engine optimization benefits right off the bat versus, say, trying to start an organic campaign, which not only is a long-term strategy, but it can get expensive. So just for those business owners out there who maybe they don't have a big budget to start with, I would say start off with those two. That's going to get you some search traffic. Ultimately, yes, you are eventually going to need to get a website. You are going to need to get a search engine optimization done. Typically, I recommend, if you already have a website, to have an SEO professional audit your current website to see what's in place and what could be improved upon. And I know William probably has something to add to about website audits.
Oh,
go ahead,
pass it off.
William.
Well, I think everybody has gotten the opportunity to look at what other companies do for a site audit, right? But what you need to really focus on is what's really happening. Going back to history, and that's something we talked in the green room, Molly and I, about Moz. That if you do a Google search out there for Google algorithm updates, right? You'll see Moz, and it'll have a gigantic listing, and I don't have it to my background here, but it has an archive of every single date that you can go back into your Google Analytics and look, did I get hit by something like this? Is there something wrong that something I've done maybe in the past with a marketer? And so when they're doing the audit, they're doing a complete scan of, okay, all the opportunities that you could be in trouble with, looking at like maybe an SEMrush dashboard where it shows the peaks and levels, and then maybe a fall at 2012, maybe in June or May or June that happened. All of a sudden you have a decline. How does somebody come back from that? All of a sudden they lost a lot of traffic. How do they re-optimize for the new current algorithm, which is all about trust, quality, and conversion, really. I mean, going back to the visitor experience, if Google has to provide 10 results and then they have paid advertising, how do you stand out from the crowd? And I think another thing would be with those videos, asking a question or answering a question, not asking a question, but how does the searcher for your industry do a query? Are they looking for how do I mute an NEC phone? Or how do I transfer a call? All these different little things. And how can you provide the answer through video or a page? So that going back to that landing page might be for that organic, where that question comes up in those answer boxes. I think, Roland, I'm sure you've seen those answer boxes that when you actually do a query for something, it pops up and gives you the answer. Well, if you're the first position in that spot, normally you fall into that answer box. So going back to the, how do you service your people, and going back to user experience at the same time, fulfilling that destiny of that first engagement into what they were looking for, and completion, they found it.
So this is really good stuff. Before I get lost with this, we have some more people. Dr. Margaret Aranda, of course, and Heidi Hornlund is out there, and also David Leopold is out joining us today. And by the way, David has, although I'm not in a time slot to usually catch his show. He runs his own show, and he's got his own community too. So you can look up David Leopold, just the way it sounds, Leopold, and see him in the comment stream. And he has a community called Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, and he's known as Small Biz David. So he talks about business and small business the same way I do, and I welcome you to give him a look-see and review what he's doing too. Thank you very much for showing up today, and I appreciate you out there. And back to our subject. Let me see who else is, if anyone else has joined us, so I don't miss anybody. I think I've just about covered it. We have a lot of people that showed up at the last minute today. I didn't have this many people lined up on the RSVPs as it was, but we got 16 people to come in, and so I'm really appreciative of the fact that you showed up in spite of our difficulties for today. But regarding our subject matter, I had something to bring up with you guys in the green room today, and because for me the subject is more content. You know, I drive relevance through the content, and then I would hand off a SEO, an advanced SEO study to you guys. I mean, that's the way I would do it. But most of the people that I have are trying to get started and don't know where to start, and that's where I guide them. And so the mantra that I have for people nowadays is that you don't want to write necessarily 1,000-word articles and count the words and do all of that stuff anymore, because when we're considering relevance, if you're trying to focus on the word count, you're not focusing on the subject and the relevance. You're focusing on trying to fulfill what you think are going to be the right statistical things for SEO purposes. But my impression is that word count means a whole lot less than it used to. And my mantra for people who are writing stuff is that you write your article and your content so that the information delivered in the message is just enough. It's not too much, not too little, getting the point across and filling the needs of the article itself and solving the problem of what people are going to want to know if they read this article, and that's just enough. Well, how do you feel about word count and content?
I have experimented with word count. When I first started posting to Google Plus, I wrote pretty short articles, maybe 50 to 100 words, and then I started studying some people on Google Plus, what they were doing. Their articles were a little bit bigger, so I thought, well, maybe I'll try and write something a little bit bigger. And so I tried that, and then I started writing really big articles, like 300, 400, 500 word articles, and I found actually my engagement went down whenever I started writing the larger articles. So right now I usually tend to somewhere between 100 and 300 words. That's usually the word range that I keep, and I found that that's a pretty happy medium. It's enough content to where people feel like there is value in the content, but it's not overkill. It's not like, oh my gosh, it's like this encyclopedia of of information, and I can't deal with it all, so I just next. But I write on a variety of topics. I think that's something else. What I typically do is I ask questions. I just ask, hey, how are you hanging out from a mobile device or desktop, laptop, or what do you think about video marketing? I tend to try and ask those questions that's going to get people engaged in the article or the post that I've written. I do a lot of polls. People are like, why do you do so many polls? And the reason I do so many polls, just so that you know, is because I'm looking for information. I'm looking for data. I'm looking for insights on the people who are reading my content. And polls are a great way to do this. Even if you get a 1+, you engage that person. They like what you polled so much that they're like, well, 1+ it, that type of thing. So, regarding content, I think it's important to have meat and potatoes, but you don't want to do overkill. Write 1,000, like you said, 1,000-word article. That's too much. But at the same time, you don't want to write a 20 or 25-word article because it's just a little thin. So.
And just to add to that, I think everybody focuses on a number. And I've actually been experimenting throughout the year, many years of that same theory of going, okay, if I only spend 500 words, or I do 1,000 words, or what's my better opportunity for ranking. And really it comes down to is what is that content going to deliver, and what kind of information needs to be provided on that page to deliver the experience to that visitor to satisfy that need and answer that question. It could be 500, it could be that 1,000 mark. It could be, if you're talking about something that's medical related, okay, I'm going to have a lot of different resources and citations. But if I'm looking for just a widget, I'm probably pretty satisfied if I have a video showing me how it works, and then have some bio information about it, and then maybe a warranty information, and then I dig a little deeper in before I buy it. So the content's going to be different between every topic and every theme. I don't think that numbers. Now, if you only have like 100 words, then maybe we're a little short. But still going back to the quality, having enough body that's going to actually satisfy the need of that visitor.
So the two keywords that you mentioned are enough and quality. And it boils down to then the content generation and making sense where it is relevant, because you're telling somebody something that is important. And if it takes 1,000 words or 2,000 words, then you spend the 2,000 words. But it's going to be important to the people who need to know that information. So it varies too, because Molly, you were talking about social media posting. But that's different than a blog. That's different than a newsletter update. That's different than everything. Everything is different and depends upon what you're doing. And for instance, event details, I know not to put over 100 lines apparently, because my overkill there could have broken the hangout and that's why we're all in this new one today. So I
That was
don't know,
pretty
but
funny.
yeah, I don't know what happened, but I know that I lost control when I finally discovered what was going on. I had no control, and that's why we deferred to this new hangout. So thanks everybody for following us over, and I appreciate that very much. But anyway, we were talking about just enough content, and the takeaway from this is that you don't write for word count. You don't write for, gee, I want to be on page 1 of Google, and how do I get there? You write to deliver the message of what your company and your service and your product requires, so you can educate the people who want to know. And that's the relevance issue. And basically, you don't have to target the widespread people. We're not talking only a numbers game. And that's why it's off the search engine now and on to everywhere. And the premise is really interesting, because I read something the other day, I don't know where it is, but basically it's the fact that you don't want to target everything and everybody. You want to basically, here the quote was, better to dominate a niche than try to be everything to everyone. And that goes along with the saying that I've been doing for over 2 decades now, and that is that what, for marketing purposes, and back then, of course, there was no internet marketing. Uh, there was just handshakes and flyers and business meetings and newspapers and magazines, all the traditional stuff. And back in those days, our mantra was select the chosen few and be everywhere they turn. So don't try to get the billboard and flash your message to everybody as they drive down the freeway, but selectively find out where those people in their cars are going to, where they congregate in likeness, and find out where the subject is about what you offer, and then go be part of that community. Go be part of the flow. Participate in the midst of what you see, and that's the people who are going to come around to your offer, and then you just be prevalent, be present, and express yourself there. And that's what your content is supposed to do. And if you focus on that, then it's the same relativity. When people start typing the keywords, you're going to be relevant, so you're going to show up in search results. And that's for me, that's the whole theory behind SEO, is being shown relevant in the places that you make a difference and your message matters. So anyway, I guess we've kind of covered that, or maybe we've buried that concept. But something that I think that needs to be brought up is, if you're a content writer, if you have a website, if you have if you're working with the owner of a business and you're in charge of the digital outreach, you pretty much, when you're writing an article, whether it's in social media, but more importantly, when you're blogging or writing content for web pages, you really have to know something about SEO and HTML and even CSS and like WordPress operators. You don't want to just write an article in WordPress. You want to know how the functionality of the WordPress platform generates your message out to the public, because the appearance of the content makes a big difference. In other words, let's take an example. When you're bullet pointing information and when you're structuring your title tags, how big the text is when it's bold, these things affect the readership. And if you wanted to visualize a comparison, it'd be like a basic blog from 10 years ago. When you read a blog, it was like the title of the article is there, and then paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of text. And maybe then they got hip and added a photo. But nowadays, we've got more and more ideas and ways to generate the look of the content to make it easier to digest. And it's proven a fact that when people look at a page, they eyeball scan it from upper left to lower right, and they review down. They look at the bold text, they look at the headers, they look at the subheaders, they look at the bullet points, and then they choose what they're going to read and digest from that page. So they don't start from the top and edge their way down for whatever. They scan it in a second or two flat and then decide what they're going to read. So the structure requires that the writer know how that's going to be displayed, and that pretty much emphasizes that the need for an idea of what SEO is and how the developmental platform is going to convey the information. They have to know something about that. What do you guys think?
Well, I think in terms of content marketing, it's definitely a part of search engine optimization. I mean, obviously there's the nuts and bolts of SEO. There's your metadata, there's an SEO audit. Make sure you're using Search Console, Webmaster Tools is formerly known as. Like William pointed out, review the algorithms. Pull that data into analytics. Make sure you're doing everything you can do on the technical mechanical side, but from an overall perspective, it really, and I describe digital marketing like this, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, meaning there's several different pieces of the puzzle that you have to implement in order for a business to be successful. And really, essentially what the business is trying to do is they're trying to build their reputation online, because when you build your reputation online and you become known as an authority or an expert or somebody who, hey, I know I can talk to Molly about AdWords, or I know I can talk to Molly about SEO because I see her out there talking about SEO and AdWords. She's always out there posting an article or a tip or asking questions. When you can do that, then you really don't even have to look for business. At least that's been my experience. I started my campaign several years ago. I started out on social media, built my website, SEO'd it, started optimizing it, and I found that just by going out every day, kind of like the drip on a stone, just every day go out there and post, even if it's just an interesting article. A lot of people think, oh, I have to come up with all this intense content every single day, and I don't think that's really necessarily the right strategy. I think it's a variety of content, meaning, you might post a funny picture on Friday because it's Friday, or, you might have a certain series. That's something else I recommend people do, is if you have a certain topic that you can write a series on, where people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to check this out because I like this subject, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to watch the series that Molly or William or Roland's doing about SEO or AdWords or local optimization or whatever, and it can apply to your business too. I mean, it doesn't have to be just about digital marketing. Now, I talk about digital marketing because that's what I do, but you might be a cook, you might be a florist, you might be a baker, you might be a sports coach, and it has to be relevant to what it is you're doing. But, if you, in something else I might add, if Karen were here, she'd probably say form a community. Tell people about communities, form a community. Get in there, advertise it, market it, send it out, get that group of people together and build a network. And so, from my experience, and I was just going to quickly share the story, in the last month, I have picked up more work and I have not done any advertising. None. Zero. Zilch. I have had many people approach me from various different social channels and from Google Plus, and I even, little birdie told me that I got a reference from Google, which I was like, I'm still astounded that somebody out there would even know who I am. But it was a social developer. He's developed a piece of software he wants me to beta test, and he was out at Googleplex, and somebody said, "Hey, I think he mentioned that he was opening up a storefront here in Jacksonville." He's like, "Jacksonville, Florida, you need to talk to this lady." And I was like, "Wow, I was really stunned that somebody out there would even know who I am." But it's through that building that trust and the authority and getting online, telling people who you are and what you do. That is how you do it. You have to make people feel comfortable with you, make people feel like they can approach you, help people, answer questions, and just get out there and tell people who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Being transparent. You don't have to go out there and as a business go post like crazy on all the social networks and so on. But your customers are going to start to find you, and you need to be in tune to where they are. You might be selling cupcakes, and maybe all your stuff is over on Pinterest. It might not be LinkedIn, or it might not be Facebook, or it could be Facebook. You never know until you start to try it. But you mentioned something about posting once in a while, and that's on different things. Being unique, you don't have to always post. I post a lot of stuff on Just Analytics or Google Panda, so algorithm stuff. So my stuff could be very boring to other people, but yet I posted a picture of my dog sleeping on my wife's desk yesterday. So that there's some humor in my comments of my post, right? So and that brings also personality. So you're not just this. You're not a robot. You have real life and everything else. But as a business owner, it's like we talk a lot about online, but we also don't talk about offline. They always do secure everything offline, just like a grocery store would. You walk through the grocery store, and the milk is in the back of the store every single time, and all the way back to that aisle, you're going to get hit by advertisements in the shelf and bread standing out and say, oh, cookies going, hey, this is haunting me. I've got to have one of these before I get the milk. And then I come back and I'm doing the same thing. I'm grabbing candy bars. You know the whole drill. But at the same time, has caused that to happen or create that on your online presence. Make that happen. Okay, how did they get to that product? Did they get excited just like all of a sudden they saw little cookies on the shelf? Can you entice them with a little call to action that makes them do something that you need them to do next and they need to do next? Because they're like, okay, I want this. How do I get it? I don't want to have to learn how to use your website, but give it to me.
Scraping the impulse buy. There is a lot of impulse on the internet, and it's so right now, in my face, I want this, I buy this type of an atmosphere that you have to be part of the conversation so that people will think of you. And so even though you're on the SEO bandwagon and so forth, the fact that you showed your puppy expands out the vision of people and what they think of you and how you are. And then when they start to warm up to you and like you, they go, oh yeah, when the subject of liking and SEO comes up, I think of William Rock, because you're basically warming up in the relationship and you're top of the mind. So that's the whole thing about relationship building. It allows you to expand out past your expertise and show who you are, and that's a part of being the authentic you. So some comments in the stream. It's kind of funny. Um, First of all, Susan Joy was saying about WeWake's comment. I love your comment about integrity being so noticeable on video, and that's something that we've been talking about for years. Like, we cannot be any more authentic or integrity driven than showing on video. So that emphasizes what we were saying about video. And Susan Joy also has a question for Molly when it comes to the polling. Goes, Molly, what tool do you use for polling, and is that in Hangouts or some other web platform?
Sure, I can answer that really quick. So Google Polls are on the Google Plus platform. So what happens is once you're logged into your Google Plus profile, you just go to your profile and there's a little box that says, what would you like to share? And you can ask the question. Typically, I put a variety of different content. Like I will format it to where the title is bold, just so that people out there who know you can actually format text on Google Plus, which I strongly encourage you to do, because like Roland was pointing out with the blogs and such earlier in the Hangout, that it does make a difference when you format your text. But anyways, I'll bold the title, and then I'll write a little comment, or I'll ask a question, or I'll do a write-up on whatever subject I'm writing about. And then at the very bottom, I'll ask a question, and I'll bold it, and then I go in, and I always like to use animated GIFs. I've done a study where I've done polls without pictures, and I've done polls with pictures, and I've done polls with animated GIFs, or pictures. And every single time, hands down, the animated GIF always seems to get a lot of attention. That's probably a whole nother hangout. But anyways, from there, you just, the polls within the post, you write your post, there's a little sub-menu, and on the very right-hand side, you'll see a little box, and you just click the box, and it'll say polls right underneath it. You click it, and then it'll give you an option to upload a picture, and then you can, it has several options. It'll start off with 2 options, and if you hit the little plus button, you can go up to 5 options. And then from there, if you want to get really fancy, you can actually post multiple pictures on a poll, and it's a little tricky, but essentially you'll have to get all 5 pictures together first, and then as you do the first couple of pictures, you'll have to type out the answer and then add the picture, and then you add the third option, and then you can add multiple pictures to the rest of it. But that's how you do a poll on Google+.
Cool. Thank you. I hope that answers the question. And of course, Susan Joy, if you have further questions or you want to, single Molly out for a more direct communication, you're welcome to do that. And there's more action going on in the comment stream. And I just wanted to bring up, Susan is also saying, excellent point, Roland, about the structuring our ideas in our content to make it easy for people to consume, and that's what her up-and-coming book is about. So, Susan, you're writing a document book about this subject, and I would like to talk to you about it further. And please feel free to, when you get that book published, to bring it back to our comment stream and say, by the way, I've got this thing in, and we'll highlight it and let people give access to it. And if you have it for sale or whatever, we'll be more than happy to fit that into the comment stream and to give your contact information, because we want people to get better at these things. And so when we spread information like that, then we're sharing the wealth of knowledge that we know and we know makes a difference in to my audience. And let's see, another thing that's going on is WeWick says, I think when we create a video, we should put the transcript to the video to accompany the video, because as yet Google is indexing text more easily compared to the content within the video. And in your video you may be making great points, but there is no text script. Well, to clarify, the YouTube video has a transcript that needs to be modified because they never get it right. So although there's a transcript for every auditory video that has dialogue, the translation of what you said versus the transcript is at best poor, and none of your keywords are going to be right. The odds are none of your keywords are going to be right. There's a lot of context that will be fractured, and you should scan through your videos, and if not do the entire transcript better, at least go through and modify the keywords, which is all doable right in YouTube. If you have any idea from
can I add one thing on that? I don't think the transcript great to have, but you're right, it basically has a lot of hiccups in there. And I don't know, I mean, Google's going to use that, but I don't know how much weight they're going to actually have on that. And so when I'm looking at like new companies coming in, you don't have to transcribe everything in the beginning. You can always go back and do that stuff as well. So when you guys are coming in and doing these new videos and listening to some of the things we were suggesting, don't think, oh, that's going to be overwhelming, I have to do that. it's something you can come back to, and that goes back to the optimization side and looking at user optimization. So user experience optimization. Are they getting the description of what that content is going to have in your video, the title, and the description? You don't have to have word for word in your description. Google is going to automatically pick that up, because what happens is they take the video and they turn that into an audio file. Then that audio file gets into a text file, and now it's transcript. So it goes from those different levels, and you can do the same thing on your computer, and then you can have your transcript at the same time, and then you can upload that to YouTube at that point. I mean, it's a little more accelerated, but yeah.
I would actually add to that, a good idea is to do a timestamp. That way you can kind of give an overview of what's on the video without having to have every single word that was spoken on the video. Plus it gives the person who may be delivered to your video just a kind of little glance of, oh, this is what this video is about. And then if there's a certain pinpoint that, say somebody started talking about a certain thing, instead of them having to watch the whole video, they could actually just go to that pinpoint that you've made in the timestamp and access that information immediately.
Okay, so we're in the stream of comments. By the way, we have another addition to our audience. Carl Turacek joined us, and he had an interesting point and perspective there. That he says, I disagree about the video being a good litmus test for integrity. I suppose if you are open to questions, it might be a good signal, though. And there are mixed ideas about the concept of integrity in video. First of all, a lot of integrity, it can be implied or faked, and so it is not a true litmus test. However, what I've found is that when people try to convey a message on video, after a video or two or three, either you understand what the person's about and you like them, or you understand what the person's about and you don't like them. You're going to gravitate towards accepting the person or not, and then you're going to develop your clientele based on the people who accept you. So the litmus test is not so much a marketing standpoint of like, yes, if you do this and this and this, this is going to convey the right thing to the people. Your followers and the people who respond are going to respond to you, whatever you are. And you've got to start with that. Then comes your message, and if they're listening to your message, then you may have some success there.
If you don't mind me adding another piece, let's take that twist a little bit from a business perspective to a nonprofit, a charity. How are they going to utilize that video for not trying to market it, but getting their word out, right? Same concept you would do back to your business. Is that you're getting a message out that you're trying to get donations. The same thing, I'm trying to get sales. So, how do you tailor the message that you would actually be sympathetic to accept opportunity, but also within 2 minutes, your message, it's an elevator speech. It's something we actually exercise all the time with Chamber of Commerce meetings. When you go in for the elevator speech, then how do you react at the table? How can you do that same thing with online or through social?
Right, and I would actually add to that it depends on the business and it depends on what content they're sharing. Are you trying to pitch people or are you trying to be genuine? And I think if you're a business and you're trying to be genuine and you're trying to actually help people with whatever product or service you're offering, I think that's going to put a whole different perspective on the video versus, say, a sales pitch. And we've all seen them. We've all seen those high-pressure sales pitch videos like, buy now, or, you only have 30 days or 30 seconds left, or, we've seen all of them. And you know what? I instantly get turned off to stuff like that. I don't even finish watching them because I'm like, you know what? If you're not going to earn my trust, essentially, I don't want to have anything to do with you. I want to work with somebody who I can trust, who I know I can depend on their content. I can go ask them a question. They're going to interact with me. They're going to engage with me and basically make me feel like if I buy from this person, I know it's going to be a good purchase. It's going to benefit me or my family or my business, and I don't have to worry about not going back to that person and them not being there. So I think it has to do a lot with the content that's on the video as well.
And the litmus check goes beyond the product also. After a while, the relationship makes a difference, whereby if somebody sees your product is no better or worse than someone else's, they're going to buy from you because they like you more And in that respect, you have to be your true self, because if you're not your true self, you can only sustain that for so long, and people have a sensor for fakes. And so after a while, the simulated or the superimposed personality doesn't cut it anymore, and the authenticity shows through, which is not what you're trying to convey on the video. So eventually, it boils down to whether people like you or don't like you, and they'll buy from you to support you because you've given to them, you have a relationship, and it's a valuable product. It's what they're looking for anyway, so yes, they're going to buy from you. So the relationship is so utterly important.
Yeah, and to add to that, the last part, we've talked about a lot of different things today, and I know we're kind of running up on the clock here, but going back to the trust, the relationship, the engagement, the other thing that a lot of companies are forgetting, and they don't add this to their business plan for 2016, is the security, right? We'll actually pay for all the ADT and protections of the cameras and everything else in our local business, but we're forgetting about the actual security of the website online, and that also plays. It's part of the SEO spectrum, because if all of a sudden your site goes down, then basically you get the little hacked message on the search engines, right? So another strategy of not wanting to get that, because now you've got a problem you can't fix very fast.
And I think that actually goes back to Google's whole perspective of an overall good user experience. That is what they're trying to provide to people who are searching for your business. They're trying to provide content, secure websites, interesting information about yourself, and to make it easy for the user to find you and to digest what you're trying to communicate to them. And overall, engaging with that person and making that, or taking that opportunity and turning it into a conversion for your business, because overall, that's why you're in business. You're in business to make money. And if you're not getting any conversions from all this other stuff you're doing, social media, SEO, AdWords, all this stuff you're trying to do to market your business, then I mean, what's the point? You're not getting the conversion, which ultimately is turning into a sale. So I think if you look at it from that perspective and look at it as it's not just SEO, it's not just AdWords, it's not just my website, it's an overall strategy that you have to produce for your users, that they're going to feel like you're an authority, you can be trusted, they can come and engage with you, and they feel comfortable with your business. That's what we're trying to communicate in this hangout today. And I like what Roland used. It's search everywhere marketing. It's a variety of things that we're doing to try and make the user experience a good one.
Thank you very much. And a lot of conversation going on. First of all, I apparently was misled by a statement that Weewick was talking about. He mentioned transcripts, so I went automatically to the concept of transcript as YouTube describes transcript. But there's also a description below below the video itself, and he was referring more to the description and the information that accompanies the video. And yes, that's very important. There are like 7 or 8 things that you have to really focus on when you're developing and uploading a YouTube video, whether it's automatically uploaded and you have to go back later and add the stuff, or whether you're going to put it in when you submit it and upload. There are several things that you need to really focus on and get right to make the video at least systematically adapted to a proper YouTube campaign. So we're going to cover that again sometime, but we're running out of time here. But I would like to ask the final question to Molly and William, and basically it's I tend to ask too much information in one question. It's just my habit. But it all boils down to this. When people are looking for an SEO person, what do they have to do to prepare to be the right platform then to be SEO'd? In other words, when people need an SEO specialist, what do they have to do before they call you? What do they have to do to set up to be perfectly ready and worthy of being SEO worthy?
I'll answer on my behalf. I think for a business owner, it's very important to ask your SEO specialist or expert questions. And I actually just did a post this week on, I think it was 65 or 64 questions that you should ask your SEO specialist before you even consider doing business with them, because they're very basic questions about search engine optimization. They talk about robot files and XML sitemaps and I'm not going to bore you, metadata and stuff like that. But I think if you have that little checklist of questions that I posted, and I'll post it to the event page after the hangout, so the people watching the live hangout, or maybe they're watching this in Replay City, you'll have access to that post, and you can just copy and paste those questions onto maybe a Google Doc or however you save your text content. But I think if you have the right questions to ask an SEO expert, because unfortunately, in our industry, there's a lot of people that they claim they can get you on page one, and they're just lying to you. You really have to do your research whenever you're trying to find an SEO expert to know that they really do have the expertise and they have the knowledge and they stay up with the latest trends. That's another thing that I would definitely make sure is, how often do you study up on SEO? But definitely ask them questions and find out if they've got the stuff to be able to get your website optimized.
And it helps to be Google certified in various categories. And so
Yes.
that it really does, and that's a lot of really good news. So, William, what's your take on the same question?
So, basically when you can look at it multiple ways. I like to put it as that, you're willing to learn. So not only are you looking for a consultant or a company to do your SEO and marketing with you, but you're willing to take the time out of your busy day or week to be able to say, okay, I'm going to spend this much time with these people each month, and focus that towards learning how to actually do those things. Like, how do I post myself on, if I want to post on Google Plus, how do I do that, versus my marketing agency, or if I want to look in my Google Analytics, how do I do that? Allowing yourself to ask the questions to the agency you're hiring and have them teach you. They're the ones, like Molly was mentioning, that are focused in it. They're always digging into this. They know this. That's like our passion is studying analytics or all sorts of different things. So penalties for me, I like Google penalties, so it's easier to look at how to fix them, because they always look at, oh, I was hit by this and all my traffic disappeared. But there's always a shining light if you just fix you go back to that basic site audit like Molly was mentioning and look at what happened in those time frames. And normally that can be, it's like a doctor. You're looking at all these different things, but I think the biggest thing to take away is really focus with the team. Work with your team. Work with your graphic guys. Tell them what you want. Work with your writers. Make sure that that's something you're auditing every time before it goes on the website. So spend that little bit of time each week with that team and really help them help you.
I like that, William, and you brought up a lot of things to mind, and it basically takes me back to the reason that this Smarties program was developed, and that is to give people an opportunity to start their education on internet marketing, because it's so important for them to know what's happening and why these things are important, not just you do it. It's not a set and forget environment anymore. As a matter of fact, if any program or any platform or any service or whatever is trying to sell you something, either monthly or a lock and stock and barrel price, if they say, yeah, just buy this program and set it and forget it, if you believe that, go ahead and spend your money. But I say you're probably 99% of the time wasting your money. Nothing is set and forget. You can set and forget the parameters, but you still have to do some of the work. So the best thing is to be genuinely involved in what your outreach is, know how you can influence your outreach, contribute the most that you can, and then hire an expert to guide you. And that is the way you're going to get the best job done. So it's, I think, to connect the dots and to wrap up the show. By the way, Scott Scowcroft is out there, and he came in near the end, and I appreciate you showing up, and we've been missing you, but thank you very much for showing up. And just to wrap things up, the concept was content, relevance, and SEO. And apparently at this point, we can say that there's no way you can separate these things. If you're attending to one, you're probably attending to all of them. But the thing is, in order to achieve proper SEO, there's a few steps to understand about your business to start with. Have to know what you're offering, have to know what you're going to offer the people and what you plan on offering to the world as your solution or your thing that is of value. And then you have to be willing to help express what that is and participate in your social media or your writing or something. You have to be connected to it. And if you don't know how you're connecting to it, the odds drop way down on even being effective with your SEO.
Absolutely. I just wanted to quickly mention, Roland, that I just posted the link to my article over in the Google Small Business community about the questions you should ask an SEO specialist. And I would even say, if anybody watching this live hangout, either live or in Replay City, if you have questions about SEO, contact me or William. We'd be happy to, either help you, point you in the right direction, or maybe, start that relationship where we're able to help you optimize your website for search.
Well, and the furthermore, and I don't usually allow people to pitch on the show, but I know for a fact that you and William offer an upgraded service on a full site audit, and that you pick it apart and really analyze what's going on, just the website and what's connected to it, and the things that people are doing to support their campaign in general, not just a website, but everything connected to it. And so if people want to see you about an advanced service like that, I'm more than happy that they contact you directly, and they can mark this video as the lead for that.
That is actually an interesting point. William and I did a site audit back for a couple of his clients. Legal Circle of Trust, I believe, is the name of their group, and we had a great time. And we did it in such a way it was very constructive. We didn't try to tear down the client. He was a little, it was intense for him because you have your website and you're dissecting it, where you're doing this wrong and this right, and I don't know about this. It was really kind of encouraging to see somebody kind of take that leap of faith and let William and I, just go in there and just say, hey, this isn't too bad, but this is what we can do to improve it. So if I can find the video link, William, I don't know if you have it, maybe we'll try and post that to the event page, because it really was a great constructive type of hangout. And I think that's something else you need to understand is, working with an SEO person, they're there to help you. They're not there to critique you or tear you down. They're there to help. And that's why, again, if you have questions, just feel free to reach out.
Cool. Well, we're about to the end of the day, and I wanted to mention that we have Stellian Mezin, and Michael Daniels actually showed up today, and I'm not even sure how he found out about the events, probably through your Google Plus community, and thank you very much for stopping by, Michael. But anyway, we're wrapping up the day, and the thing that I would like to encourage people is to know that if you've got a business and an outreach, you need an education about certain things basically, and the way you present and how you present is as important as what you present, but the what is on you. You have to know your product and your service. You have to be willing to support it properly and communicate with people when they want to know what you have. You've got to be there to answer the questions for them. So that kind of wraps up the subject of content relevance and SEO for us today. And I thank my co-hosts, Molly, and also our special guest, William, for being with us today. Thank you very much. And I'm signing off from Saturday Morning Marketing Smarties. It was a great day. Thank you.